It is my favorite holiday of the year, and it's not even close. Deer season. The 9-day gun deer hunt is upon us. And if you're anything like me, I absolutely love grabbing some food, grabbing a big old cooler full of Miller Lite, and headed up to deer camp. Grab ice and just put the beer on ice right away. I always walk into the cooler at Festival Foods or Quick Trip, and I grab a couple cases of Miller Lite out, and I throw them in my truck, and I go, I'll put them on ice when I get there. I never remember to stop and get ice before the Northwoods. And then we end up at the cabin with a cooler and beer and no ice. Just grab the ice right away. Pour the beer in the cooler. Put the ice on top and worry about the rest later. Grab your stuff. Have a safe and successful hunt. Happy deer season, Wisconsin, my favorite holiday of the year. The best holiday beers are the ones you don't expect. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/inside Wisconsin to find options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. 'Tis Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back. The Inside Wisconsin podcast here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas and my guest today on the show, Caleb Durbin, Milwaukee Brewer, Fond du Lac Doc Spider alum, finalist for MLB NL Rookie of the Year. Didn't win it, but we chatted about that on this very show right before it got announced. And I asked him, because we didn't know yet, what it would mean to him to win that award. And so even though he didn't, you'll get to hear his thoughts and what it meant to him to even be a finalist. We chat about his time in Wisconsin, his time growing up just south of the border. We won't mention that, and so much more. Milwaukee Brewer, Caleb Durbin on the Inside Wisconsin podcast.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by Lane's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, and Miller Lite.
If you don't know him, you need to. And you're about to get to learn who he is, not just what he does or how he does it. The Brewers' third baseman, Caleb Durbin, on the Inside Wisconsin podcast. What's up, Caleb? Thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
So you joined us on the radio show, and I prefaced that by saying the radio show is, hey, how are you? What was the season like? You're pretty good at baseball. Potential Rookie of the Year. When we're recording this, you have not been notified if you won or not. So let's just get that out of the way. I can't believe you didn't talk to him about the Rookie of the Year. Yeah, well, we're talking before he knows whether he won it or not. So is what it is. This podcast is all about who you are and like, how'd you get here? And why should we as Wisconsin follow you in regards to like your career and your personality and your character? And I mean, hell, you're in your parents' house right now. Like most of you young guys that are in the majors don't even have your own spot yet. So maybe let's start there. You grew up an hour south of Kenosha in a state that I am contractually obligated not to say on this show. So tell us about your journey, man, and how you ended up getting your gig in college and then obviously onto the pros.
Yeah. It was a long journey. I think it's a long journey for everyone, but it definitely was for me. I went through the whole college recruiting process kind of in a way that, I wanted to play Division I baseball, but at the forefront was kind of using baseball as a means to get into, a better academic school that I maybe wouldn't have gotten into without baseball. Because I always had these goals and dreams of playing professionally and in the big leagues, but I'm realistic with myself at my size. You kind of have to have that backup plan just in case. So the academic route was kind of that backup plan for me. So I ended up, committing to Washington University in St. Louis, which, it's funny, like people that go the Division I route, they're, posting their commitments that, their sophomore, junior years or whatever, and, committing to the big D1s. but like you go the Division III route and you have to apply early decision. And then when you get into the school, you just, that's when you find out, you're going to be on the baseball team, so it's kind of the other way around. You have to get into the school first. But yeah, I ended up playing 3 years there through COVID. So, my freshman year would have been 2019. And then COVID year was my sophomore year. And then my junior year, we had a really good team, made it down to the D3 World Series in I think Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which was a ton of fun. And then, was kind of able to get my foot in the door with the Braves my junior year, drafted in the 14th round. Didn't know if I was going to get picked or not, but luckily, there's a scout, JD French, with the Braves that gave me a shot. And then a year and a half later was traded to the New York Yankees and played in AA and AAA with them, and then traded over, 2 years later to the Milwaukee Brewers. And, the rest is kind of history. Was able to get up this year and, kind of have a role with them and, have some fun in the postseason. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Glad you had fun in the postseason. I mean, we had fun for a second and then not so much.
It was a good experience. Yeah, obviously it didn't end the way any of us wanted to, especially coming in, best record in baseball.
Yeah.
A lot of high hopes, a lot of high hopes on our end too. But end of the day, anything can kind of happen in the postseason, and Dodgers have a good team over there too. But good foundation, good to build off of going into next year for sure.
So you grew up in Illinois, landed at a D3 school, got drafted by the Braves. When you were growing up, did you spend time in Wisconsin? I mean, you're not far from AmFam Field, where you literally grew up. Did you ever come to games?
Yeah, no, I'm an hour south of Milwaukee, really close to the border. I played a lot of baseball, a lot of travel ball all over Wisconsin, probably more in Wisconsin than in Illinois, honestly. I like to think was playing some competitive travel ball, so traveled, kind of all over the place growing up, but underrated state for baseball, in my opinion. A lot of really good baseball growing up in Wisconsin. Some good talent comes out of there. Some really good travel ball teams, in all over Wisconsin. So I actually never went to a Brewers game growing up, surprisingly, but I did go to a Marquette basketball game, which is kind of random. But one of my buddies growing up was a huge Marquette basketball fan. So I ended up going to one of those, and then was able to get to my first Bucks game this year.
Yeah, and you made it to Lambeau Field for a Brewers game. Got a little sideline pass action down there. How was that?
I've been to a couple Packers game, actually. So I went to Bears at Packers. What was that, 2 years ago? And then, Commanders at Packers this past year, Thursday Night Football. Somehow lined up on an off day for us, which was huge. That was a blast. I'm actually I might be going to Bears at Packers this year too. I'm not positive about it yet, but I got my Micah Parsons jersey on, so I'm on the bandwagon now.
Okay, I was going to say, you mentioned the Bears twice. Is that where you land?
Ironically, I try to root for them because I'm from Chicago, but my and it's easier to not root for them now being a Brewer. But my dad's from Pittsburgh, so I grew up a huge Steelers fan. So we got Rodgers. So I don't know if you guys are upset or happy that we have Rodgers. You guys beat the crap out of us, so it's you shouldn't be too mad.
Some people are happy, other people are not. I'm in the camp of, if you wanted to be here, you'd be here. If you didn't, you're not. So we'll see.
I mean, you guys got love though, so you're doing just fine.
Doing just fine is right. Yeah. So you landed in college at a D3, but you also played summer collegiate baseball here in Wisconsin with the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders. So for those that don't know, the Northwoods League is, you've all heard of the Cape Cod League. The Northwoods League is, I believe, better because I think it gives you guys more of an experience as to what you should expect when you get to the next level like you are. The Fond du Lac Dock Spiders, Marian University, it's an awesome spot in Wisconsin, and yet it's in the middle of nowhere, which means you probably really got to get to know that community. What was your time in Fond du Lac like?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the Northwoods League in general is, it's a minor league schedule, honestly. I think it's 70 plus games, within a span of 3 months.
Yep.
So it's, or 2.5 months, whatever it is. So it's a really short, a lot of games in a short amount of time. And the travel is, all over Wisconsin, there's teams in Michigan. So the travel is, pretty legit too. So you definitely get a feel for that. Fond du Lac was awesome. My host family, the Nolans, they were, definitely want to shout them out. They were awesome. All the host families there are. Michelle Buck, she's in one of the lead roles with, the host families, and it's just a really tight community, around the Dock Spiders, because a lot of those people that supported us and went to the games and kind of took care of us while we were there are still following us and in contact with us. And there's quite a few Dock Spiders in the big leagues now, which is a lot of fun, because it's I think they're relatively new to the Northwoods League. I think Matt Fortes was the first one to come up, and he maybe played in 2016 or 17 with them. And then, we had some good teams. We're able to win the championship, the COVID season, which was a ton of fun. And but it's awesome. That community is so supportive of the Dock Spiders, and that goes a long way.
Have you made it back there for a Dock Spiders game at all since you got the call up?
I threw out the first pitch on one of our off days. I think we got back from Cincinnati, had an off day, so it was a pretty quick travel back from Cincy. And I think that night, actually, I drove up and stayed at my old host family's house, and throughout the first pitch, the next game.
That's awesome.
Did kind of a greet and meet with all the fans, and it was a great turnout. It actually won Northwoods League Promotion of the Year, which is cool. Like, that's a fun little award that I was able to contribute to.
All right, so from Fondy to the Braves to the Yankees, and there's a saying here as a Brewers fan that the best Brewers will look great in Dodger blue or Yankees pinstripes someday. And yet here you are from the Yankee system now killing it with the Brewers. So you got the call up after you got traded. Maybe let's start there. You got traded for Devin Williams, which is saying something, by the way, along with Nestor Cortez. But when people that don't talk to guys like you, like I do for a living, they view it as, oh, it's just another move. Nope, dude, it's a human being being treated like a commodity. So you're in AAA, I think, with the Yankees, and you find out you get traded to Milwaukee. Now, that's got to be good news and bad news. Good news, you're traded because you're wanted, and you're kind of coming back towards home. Bad news, it's like, all right, bud, we'll see you, like, overnight.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, like,
right.
It's because even like from my perspective, like I know the fans' perspective, because I was a fan of baseball growing up, and I'm a big football fan. So like I see these trades happen, and I don't think anything of it. It's like, oh dang, we traded that guy on our team, or oh sweet, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like, oh sweet, we got DK Metcalf. But you being in the spot, I've gotten traded twice now. So it quite literally happens overnight in one single phone call. They call you, it's about a 5-minute long phone call, if that, and you're on another team. So it happens quick. It definitely takes a little bit to process, a couple weeks at least, because all of a sudden it's like all the relationships, and because like you touched on, like, I'm a person, we're human beings. It's like we still have those connections and friendships and relationships with our coaches and teammates in the organization we're with, that get built up, for 2 years, and we're around each other all the time. Like, we don't have, that many friends, per se during the season outside of our teammates. We're around each other 24/7. So all of a sudden, you get traded, and I've been traded in the off season twice in the off season. I can't even imagine what it's like being traded in season.
Right.
But that's probably another beast in itself.
So you found out it was Milwaukee, which has a good club. Let's be real. I mean, this team has been in the playoffs a lot, which, by the way, as somebody that grew up in Wisconsin, not normal. Normal now, not normal for a really long time. Was there a sense of like, okay, I think I'm actually going to be able to come to this organization and make an impact?
There is, yeah. I thought it was going to be a really good fit. Right. I mean, obviously, right after the trade, I did some research and knew they were in the postseason the year before. And, you had a tough one against the Mets. But I knew like the foundation, they were young, it felt like a place that, I could fit in and, help contribute. Felt like it was a lot of guys that played a similar style of baseball to myself. And it seemed like that's, the way they played would really help me come into my own and only make my skills better and the way I play baseball. So all that was, huge and was definitely running through my head initially. And then it's funny, like I told my mom and my sister first, because my brother and my dad were, out of the house, and I tell my mom first and she's, really excited. And I tell my sister, and like, they're both jumping up and down crying because they're so happy that I'm playing closer to home, or at least had the opportunity to play closer to home, and they were able to come up to a ton of games. So yeah, it was getting traded was a crazy process, but coming to the Brewers was pretty refreshing and exciting for me.
I am a thin crust pizza guy. Legit pizza. Pep's Legit Pizza. I tried something new. Late night, 9 o'clock, we'd been grazing all day. I grabbed one of those wire racks that we have to make pizza in the oven, and I threw it on the smoker. I started up the Traeger, cranked it up to 425, 400, something like that. Super smoke option. Put the pizza on there, you guys, as if Legit Pizza from Festival Foods could get any better. Try the Traeger. Maybe after a day of having a bonfire with a bunch of family and friends to celebrate a birthday. Crushed it. All right, so you get traded. It's the off season, and you know that you're going to end up in Arizona for spring training, right? And you get done with that, and you land in Nashville to begin with. When that happened, and you know you're going there, what's your mentality like? Because it wasn't terribly long after that you ended up getting called up. But take us through what that process is like for you to go, all right, got to go prove myself in this organization now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. You when you get traded, you're not starting over because you've been through the levels and stuff, but to a certain extent, you're starting over with meeting everyone again and getting used to being around everyone, on the field and off the field. Kind of knowing what all your other teammates' skill sets, how they play, trying to show them what you can do and how you can fit on the team. So all of that is a bigger adjustment than it might seem. It's you're kind of in this, for me, was in this transition phase of, all right, I'm competing for a spot, trying to make a big league team, but now I'm also trying to get used to a new organization too. So it's a couple of things that you're kind of working through at the time, and then I sent down. You try to get over it. Whatever however you feel, because obviously you want to make the team out of camp. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't. I don't know what the right word is, but you kind of get over it, and you got to be where your feet are. So you go to Nashville, and we had a great team there. We had a really good group of guys in AAA, and you just enjoy your time being around them. And baseball is baseball. You love the game, and the same way you love being around the guys in the Brewers clubhouse. I enjoyed my time being around those guys in Nashville, and a good amount of those guys, came up and helped us in the big league squad too. So it's just about being where your feet are. And, as a competitor, it doesn't really matter where you're at. You want to win, and you're going to have kind of the same process no matter what level you're at.
And so your phone rings April 16th. That was my birthday. That is my birthday. April 16th. Big day for you too. Big day. What's that? Or how does that? Maybe your phone didn't ring. I'm making assumptions. Dude, what happened? How do you find out?
Yeah, no, well, we were in Charlotte, playing the White Sox AAA, and we have a hitters meeting. So we're coming into the hitters meeting. It's the first thing of the day, 4 or 5 hours before the game time. And Coach Sweet, the AAA manager, comes up to me and just kind of gives me a hint like, hey, you're not going to be in the lineup today. And my initial reaction was, what the heck? Like, why aren't I in the lineup? Like, I'm not hurt. Dick like, move. What changed? Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? But then my heart started to race as I kind of processed like the reasons why that might have been the case. And then, yeah, a couple hours later, he comes out to me. I'm taking, ground balls off the machine, some side work, getting the glove going. And he comes up to me and shakes my hand and tells me I'm going up. And it might sound anticlimactic. It might have been, but in my head, it was, one of the best moments of my life, finally getting that call.
Instant sweats.
Yeah. Heart was racing a good amount before that. And then after that happened, I probably couldn't stop smiling for a good, 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's crazy. So what happens then?
Yeah. Then, it worked out to where we had an off day, or the Brewers had an off day the next day. So use that as a travel day, got there, would have been a Thursday. So got there Thursday night, settled into the team hotel. They kind of hook you up your first week or so up, make the transition as easy as possible as far as the housing goes, because that's a whole nother thing that people don't realize is now I got to look for a place in Milwaukee,
right? Which
was a whole process in Nashville to begin with, trying to get a place there. So now but that's part of it, that's being a professional baseball player. That I think people don't really see that side, but that's that's kind of the human side of it. But yeah, they try to help you out with that initially, and it worked out to where we had a 10-day road trip. So we were away anyways. I think it was San Francisco, St. Louis, and Chicago, which was really cool too, because I went to school in St. Louis at Wash U, and then I'm from Chicago, or northern suburbs of Chicago. So those were two really cool series to kind of check off the list right away.
Did you grow up?
No, I didn't. Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I wasn't gonna. I'm glad you said that.
You don't need to say that. Those guys on here right now.
Good. I don't. And if somebody else does, I bleep it out. So, I mean, don't you worry. This isn't a show that talks about them at all. But, hey, man, it's good to know that you hate them just as much. We had Owen Miller on this show before.
Okay.
It's funny you're talking about St. Louis, right? So I was down in St. Louis years ago for some business. And Major League Baseball has opening day. And then I think typically everybody gets the next day off. And then you go back into playing, right? So I knew I was going to be there there was no game in St. Louis. And I get out of my Uber, and all I see are Cardinals jerseys and those jerseys. And I'm like, this is my hell. What are we doing? This is awful. Why? Here it was raining.
Surrounded.
Yeah, it was surrounded. All right. That's for sure. Did you find when you were in St. Louis, as somebody that is trying to make their way up, were you surrounded by that too?
Yeah, it was. It's funny because it's like you get called up, and like as a competitor, it's like those guys are your enemies now, right? Like the Cardinals, the Cubs, like didn't mean to say their name, but like those guys are your enemies now.
I'm gonna bleep it out. I will bleep that. Promise.
You better. But yeah, it's those guys, you don't like them. Like in a personal way too, a little bit. Like you're competing like at the highest level. It's your job. It's like you naturally aren't gonna like them. Obviously, you respect them, but you're in a competitive way. And it's like I went to school in St. Louis, so naturally a lot of the people I went to school with are Cardinals fans.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of my friends from home where I grew up are who fans. So they're coming to the games. I'm getting them tickets and they're wearing the other team's uniform. And I'm like, okay, wait, like this isn't a part of the deal. It's like you're coming as a Brewers fan. You can't be even if you're a Caleb Durbin, you can't be a Cardinals fan at the same time. That's not how this works. So I told him that. It's like, you can wear that jersey to the games, but you're buying your own ticket, buddy. You know what I mean? So
I love it.
Yeah, that's part of the gig.
We talked about that on the radio. We got to get that out here. How did you find out that you were a finalist for NL Rookie of the Year? This blows my friggin' mind.
Yeah, well, I got a notification on my Instagram that MLB tagged me in a post. So naturally, you're gonna click on it. I don't click on all of them, but I clicked on it and it said the finalist for Rookie of the Year. I'm like, I didn't hear about this. It's like, I guess this is how guys find out. But yeah, I could have, because I in the postseason, for example, like didn't have social media. You're kind of locked in, and you're shutting out anything you need to shut out to kind of be in the moment and stay focused. So I could have easily just not ever have seen it. But then after, a little bit after, I had some friends and family reach out and congratulate me. So it would have been really funny if I find out from one of my high school friends or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So take us into the season now. You get called up, you're playing in the bigs, and it's a kid's dream. Like, do you ever have that pinch yourself moment of like, whoa, this is really happening? I'm really wearing the big league uniform.
Yeah, it's more of it's a lot of that, and it's even more of looking around at the guys you're playing with and against, and being like, what the heck, where am I? Because I was playing D3 baseball, 4 years ago. So like,
oh, true.
It's definitely an adjustment. That in itself is a little bit of an adjustment of being like, okay, this is the new normal. Like, I'm here now, I belong, and this is normal life. So you kind of got to get to that mindset as quick as possible, because you're expected to perform at a really high level. So but yeah, it comes with experience and time. Eventually you kind of get settled in, and the guys in the clubhouse only make that easier with helping you get settled in and stuff like that.
And then you meet Papa Murph. Don't tell him I called him that. And
I don't think I've heard that before. That's
I dare you. I friggin' dare you to call him Papa Murph.
Oh,
don't unless you like Nashville. So
Or
so
Biloxi.
What was that? Huh?
I said or Biloxi. He jokes all the time about sending guys down to Biloxi. Skip Nashville.
I've met him. We had him on the show. There's nobody like him. I've never experienced anybody like Pat Murphy. And what I love the most is, maybe this was the same for you too, but it was never good when Dad was mad at you, but it was worse when Dad was disappointed. And Murph gives me that feel of like, whew, like he's the dude that you do not want to disappoint. So tell me about your relationship with Skip.
Yeah, Murph was really awesome to me, right away, even from the first phone call, just trying to make me feel like I was a part of the team already, which is big, because as a guy who hasn't debuted yet, you don't really know. I was on the 40-man, but you haven't, been to the league yet. So, you come in, you assume no one really knows who you are. So there's, that process of, trying to make a good first impression, come spring training. So he helped a lot with that, and just, kind of telling me that he would say all the time, like, and he says it to really everyone, but he always says, like, you're in the big leagues, you're here because of who you are, not what you can do or what you've done in the past, but it's about who you are is the most important thing. So that kind of just helps me settle in, and because I hear that and it's like, okay, I could just be myself. Like myself is good enough, is kind of what I took away from all that. So yeah, I mean, you guys see how he is with the media and joking around all the time, and he's that same way with us in the clubhouse. But you guys can also get a sense of like he's stern. Like, you don't Like if he doesn't like something that you're doing, he's not going to be shy about it, which is really important, keeping guys accountable, especially at this level. We have a lot of, a good amount of young guys and just guys who are kind of eyes wide open, wanting to learn. So, I think that's a really good combination with, having Murph as our skip.
What were you doing that you didn't like?
It's small things. It's small things.
Give me one that you did.
I got picked off at second, and my ass was grass. Within my first week in the big league, so I learned real quick. How had to clean that shit up.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So you're going throughout the season. I mean, you're having a great year, and quickly people are like, "Wow, dude, what a great pickup for the Brewers." Caleb Durbin, rookie. I mean, obviously it all went well throughout the season. When did it start to dawn on you that this could be a special season for the Brewers?
It's probably around that All-Star break-ish time, where, I think we had in the span of 2 months, I think we had like an 8-game, 11-game, and 14-game win streaks, which looking back at it is like, wow. At the time, it's just like, yeah, we feel like we're a really good team and we're rolling. Don't think anything of it. Next game focused on that day type of mentality. But you look back at it, and it's like, wow. And we felt like we could feel it, like we were rolling. We were shown, coming out every day and couldn't miss barrels. Pitchers were shoving. It's like to win 14 games in a row. It's like you need one starter can't have a bad day. And even if they do, it's like the offense has to be there to pick them up, and we had that for, a good part of a 2-month stretch, which was awesome. And then, yeah, that was kind of the time period where we were like, yeah, we're a legitimate, one of the best teams in the league. And I think coming in, not many people expected that. Especially that, first month, maybe mid-May, with where we were in the standings, like kind of middle to, third or fourth even in the division. I don't think anyone really expected that. I think we always believed, but it was really just like, we got to just focus on cleaning up the little things, like the things that we can get better at, focus on those, and then go from there. And was able to rattle off some pretty good baseball for, throughout the end of the year.
All right. So it was an amazing season, and then, right. But amazing series against the Cubs. And then a lot of people said that took a lot out of the Brewers, and then the Dodgers were the buzzsaw that we all thought they could be. Now it's the off season. What do the Brewers do the second the off season's over to get yourself ready for next year?
You know what? I think the thing that maybe other people on the outside don't really think about is we had team with guys who are, 1, 2, 3 years of experience. You learn so much early on in your career. You saw guys like Sal and Bryce, and a lot of other guys are making huge steps every single year. That I think that the core that we have is only going to get better. And I mean, we had one of the best offenses, throughout the year, and we had one of the best pitching staffs throughout the year. So in my mind, as a player on the team, love all my teammates and stuff. And, my mindset going into the offseason is like, we have the pieces. Now it's just individually, I got to get better. And I think if everyone has that kind of individual mindset of trying to get better, it's going to culminate into, the team having even more success.
We joked about this on the radio. I'm vertically challenged, as are you, although it's in different directions. Being 6'8", nothing in this world is made for a fellow my size.
We're the same height on screen, though, so that's all that.
Dude, I get that a lot. When I meet people in person, they're like, "Damn, you're way taller than you were on the computer." I'm like, "Of course I was." That's how life works. There's a lot of kids, youth, maybe even young adults that are chasing their dreams in sports, but they may be your height or your size, and they don't think they can get it done. And yet here you are. What's your message to those guys?
It's just hard work, man. Like, it's at the end of the day, if it's hard to really explain, but if you have the right mentality and this is truly what your passion is and you care about it, and you know that you're really willing to do anything that it takes to get to where you want to be, not knowing what it's going to take, but kind of doing everything you think there is possible to get there, knowing that there's no guarantee, that it's not an easy thing to do, because not a people are willing to put in the work, while not knowing if it's, ever going to happen. It's likely that it won't happen, and you have to be okay with that. But if you're the type of person that it doesn't really worry about that and is just focused on the process and doing everything they can possible, regardless if you get to where you want to be or not, you're going to be in a better spot than if you hadn't put in the work. That's kind of what I always say. And that was always my mindset, throughout every level of it, whether it's high school, college at the D3 level, minor leagues to the big leagues. I see you set your goals really high, and, even if you don't reach them, you're going to be in a really good spot, falling just short. But at the end of the day, you control, what you do and how much work you put in, and you can't really worry about, this coach said I'm too small to play third base. I'm 5'6". Did you think I thought I was ever gonna play third base in the big leagues? No. But I did it. But it's all up to you. And at the end of the day, size only goes so far. It's more about the size of the fight in the dog, not the dog in the fight. That's what I always say.
All right, last one. So you played in big league parks all over the country this year.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that you sense and see and experience something different from Brewers fans in comparison to what other fans are like. Mm-hmm. How crazy are we for our Brewers baseball?
It's awesome. It's so much fun. My dad talks about it all the time. It's like you go to AmFam and you're looking at the scoreboard, and it's just happy people, man. It's happy people who love the Brewers and, are just happy to be there and are super proud of being a Milwaukee Brewers fan. So we definitely feel it. It's, it helps us a lot because we know we have a really strong and supportive fan base behind us. And I mean, you saw in the postseason in that Cubs series, all the games were won at home. So it definitely made a big difference there.
Caleb Durbin, third baseman, Milwaukee Brewers, and one of us. That's how I say it. Midwest nice, just one of us. Man, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, no, that was a blast. Thanks for having me on.
It is my favorite holiday of the year, and it's not even close. Deer season. The 9-day gun deer hunt is upon us. And if you're anything like me, I absolutely love grabbing some food, grabbing a big old cooler full of Miller Lite, and headed up to deer camp. Grab ice and just put the beer on ice right away. I always walk into the cooler at Festival Foods or Quick Trip, and I grab a couple cases of Miller Lite out, and I throw them in my truck, and I go, I'll put them on ice when I get there. I never remember to stop and get ice before the Northwoods. And then we end up at the cabin with a cooler and beer and no ice. Just grab the ice right away. Pour the beer in the cooler. Put the ice on top. And worry about the rest later. Grab your stuff. Have a safe and successful hunt. Happy deer season, Wisconsin. My favorite holiday of the year. The best holiday beers are the ones you don't expect. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/InsideWisconsin to find options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. 'Tis Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. I told you he was one of us. We just sat and shot the shit. That's what I want this show to be. My thanks to Caleb Durbin for all of the stories and all of the time and all of the insight into our favorite team, the Milwaukee Brewers. Before we go, another episode with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Deeper Roots took us to Monroe, Wisconsin, and Limburger cheese at Baumgartner's. This place is phenomenal. Limburger cheese, not so phenomenal. Acquired taste that I have not acquired. You'll see. and I really hope to never acquire it. But you need to acquire some time and get down to Baumgartner's in Monroe. You will not be disappointed. Enjoy it. An episode of Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
You've heard all these stories about Limburger cheese, right? So like you come in here with this expectation that it's going to be this like crazy, you know, like you're eating something that's just disgusting, but it's not. I dare you to try the Limburger cheese.
I've been dared. Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Another episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet has us in Monroe, Wisconsin, which is like way down, Greene County, like bottom of the state. Chris Sokup and Baumgartner's. I am in ADHD overdrive. Chris, there's a lot going on in here. There's money hanging from the ceiling. There's cheese, there's beer. There's a lot of history here. Well before your time. Maybe start us there.
Sure.
In how long Baumgartner's has been here in Monroe and what all of this is about.
It's the longest running cheese store in the state. Baumgartner's has been Baumgartner's since 1931. Prior to that, it was called the West Side Supply Store, where they sold cheesemaking supplies to cheesemakers. There were 130 some cheese factories in the county at the time, and they bought their stirrers and their cream separators from somewhere, and this was where they bought them. During the Depression, when Emil Baumgartner bought the place, he changed it into Baumgartner's, traded those cheesemaking supply for cheese, which then he could sell to the public because the cheesemakers were hard up for cash during that time. And then eventually they added a keg of beer for the delivery drivers, and then started lopping, you know, Swiss cheese off the big wheels of Swiss cheese and putting it on rye bread, sold it as sandwiches, and it just kind of grew and evolved from there.
The way you describe having a barrel of beer ready for drivers that were dropping off things is the most Wisconsin thing ever.
Brewery's a block down the street, the second oldest brewery in the country. It was the Huber Brewery, now it's called Minhas. They would just wheel kegs of beer up the street. Started supposedly as like a little, you know, they had a cigar box out and you leave a nickel and take a beer. And then at the end of the first week, there was no nickels in the box. So they decided to hire a bartender to monitor the beer, and that's kind of how it evolved into a bar. It's been primarily a cheese store through probably the 70s, and then became more of a bar through the 80s and 90s. And now we're more restaurant than anything, but we still have the bar and still sell cheese out front.
Very Swiss. This is 100% Swiss themed, yes?
Correct. So Swiss, the cheese making, the hills of Greene County are very conducive to cheese making. So the Swiss and a lot of Germans settled this area. Baumgartner was a Swiss immigrant, and a lot of our people that grew up here, that live here, are Swiss heritage.
And you and your brother bought this, gonna be 21 years ago?
We grew up 20 minutes away. Our dad brought us here all the time when we were kids and just loved the place. You could serve alcohol as a waiter in Wisconsin when you were 18, so my brother was going to college, came up, got a part-time job here during school, then I did the same thing, and then the people who we worked for, John and Christy Huber, they were looking to sell it and retire. We were young and dumb and didn't have anything else to do, so we decided to take a chance.
Tell me about the evolutions of Baumgartner's from when it was, here's a slice of cheese on a piece of bread and a beer, have a great day, to what you guys have built into this incredible restaurant.
You know, it's one of those things where we're afraid when you have a 100-year history, you're afraid to make any changes. You know, the menus that are on the wall are still the same things you could have gotten here 100 years ago. We just have some more things and try to do more in-house, focus on local products as much as possible. We still get a lot of our beer from New Glarus, which is just 15 minutes away, and from Minhas. All of our cheese and salamis and stuff are local, our brats, our hot dogs, our bacon. We just try to keep it as, you know, representative of Greene County as possible.
Limburger sandwich. Do I dare ask about that?
I think you might as well ask about it because you're going to eat one, I would imagine, while you're here today, which is going to be an exciting first-time experience for you. Limburger is a very unique cheese. It's very pungent. It's famous for its odor. People say it's the stinky cheese. There is only one factory remaining, Chalet Cheese Co-op. It's just north of town here. They're the last remaining North American cheesemaker that makes Limburger cheese. And it's what we're most famous for. It's not our most popular item. I mean, we sell a lot of it, but it is what we're most famous for sure.
Why do they make stinky cheese? What's the point?
I think like when cheese was first invented, they were figuring out a way to preserve milk because they had milk that they couldn't use that day and they needed some way to preserve it and save it. Whoever invented cheese, monks, you know, thousands of years ago, we're using different bacterias and salt and all kinds of stuff. And I would imagine that a lot of the cheese back then was probably stinky because of the way it was. We didn't have refrigeration, we didn't have all that kind of stuff.
I'm telling myself it's just got a bad rap.
It doesn't taste as bad as it smells.
As bad.
Like I mean, it's not as strong. Like it smells a lot stronger than it actually tastes.
I like how you're saying it's not as smelly or it's not as pungent without saying or as bad, because it sounds like it's going to be bad, smelly, and pungent.
You've heard all these stories about Limburger cheese, right? So like you come in here with this expectation that it's going to be this like crazy, you know, like you're eating something that's just disgusting, but it's not. I dare you to try the Limburger cheese.
I've been dared.
Yeah, and actually I think I was going to throw a double dog in there for you. So like you're going to get double dog dared to eat this sandwich.
Why do I need to be dared? I have a really bad gag reflex, Chris. Like
You'll love it. You're going to love it. It'll be fine. You take a whiff.
Oh my God, what? You really eat that? Oh God.
So this is a really simple sandwich.
Yeah,
We've got a really
simple to make.
Good, soft, dark rye bread. So it's 4 slices of Limburger. And then pretty much everyone eats it with raw onions. So we're gonna put some onion on the sandwich. Second piece of bread goes on, cut, and then serve it with a mint, of course.
You better hustle, because I'm gonna absolutely pound this thing the second it gets in front of me. If I smell it, it's game over. It's over here. This is the Limburger cheese sandwich.
It does need to come over here though. You gotta bring it this way. Just eat it.
Put mustard on it first, trust me, he says. When I smell things like this and then you say, oh, put mustard on it and put it in your mouth. My head's going, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, you're gonna love it. We sell literally hundreds of them every
Will
week.
you just let me get this over with? Okay.
When we were off camera, he also told me that he despises raw onions, and there's a lot of raw onions on there as well.
You know what else I hate?
Mustard?
And I hate, oh my God. It's so good, come to Baumgartner's. You won't regret it. Oh, I gotta get this down the hatch, I think.
Here's some beer.
Miller Lite.
Get away for you.
Well, take a bite.
I mean, I'm not afraid of it.
Oh, do make it. I would hope you're not. I will give you this. Whoa. It smells worse than it tastes. Mm-hmm. If that's an acquired taste, I hope to never acquire it.
Yeah, it tastes very different than it smells. Like it really does.
That's not scientifically adding up.
I don't know the science behind it either. I don't know. I just know that like I smell it all the time, and then when you taste it, it doesn't. They don't coordinate.
I took a big healthy bite, and there was a lot of onion in that. But to be honest, I think it needs that.
Yeah, so that's why the sandwich works so well, right? Like when I said smell just the cheese by itself, if you were gonna like eat a block of cheese like an apple, you'd probably really not enjoy it. But with the bread and the mustard and the onions, like the acidity from the onions and like a little bit of spice and the crunch, it just all works together and kind of cuts the abruptness of the Limburger. You're gonna have another one, aren't you?
Now that I'm like past it, I wonder if it's gonna get any better.
More mustard though. You still need mustard on it.
Am I gonna regret the second bite, or is this when the...
No, you've already probably acquired the taste by now.
Well, there's a lot of cheese in that one.
I gotta admit, I'm impressed that you went back for more. The way you talked before you tried it and after you tried it.
Too much cheese in that one. I'm not gonna throw up, but it's not. There's way too much cheese in that one. Okay, I went back in for more. Not a good idea. So we have gone over the history. We have tried the Limburger cheese sandwich. Now we have to throw money on the ceiling. So first off, tell me how that started.
So a gentleman owned the bar, Bob Hayland. He used to go hunting up north, and there was a bar with low ceilings, and they had a tradition where you'd stick $1 to the ceiling, and then if you were ever really hard up and needed a beer, you could go in and take your $1, and you always had a beer. He and his friends came back here and decided they were going to try to figure out how to do it at Baumgartner's. In the 80s, there was a local farmer who had a family was killed in a farming accident. They took all the money down, donated it to charity, and now we take it down every year. We get somewhere between $4,500 and $6,000 each year that we donate to local charities. It's all donations from customers.
Show me the method to the madness here.
Quarters taped together for weight.
Okay.
And there's a thumbtack that'll go inside the $1. So what we do is we take a thumbtack.
Yep.
Stick it straight through George Washington's nose.
Sorry, guy.
Then we put the 3 quarters on top of the thumbtack. Fold it up in a very specific way. We fold it like so the thumbtack's sticking up. What you're gonna do is hold your hand flat, put this kind of on the palm. Now the secret is pick a spot on the ceiling, Stare at that spot and try to hit it. If it comes back down with the dollar, don't try to catch it because the thumbtack comes back down and you'll stab yourself.
Okay, here we go.
Quarters fall back down.
Nailed it!
First try. Good shot. Told you you can get it on your
Let's
first
go.
try. So quarters fall back down.
Oh, is it?
That's what the bells are for, yeah.
I love it. This has been here almost 100 years. The community must just really find this to be a gem.
I think it's a place that anybody that has friends come visit from out of town, this is where they bring them, right? If you want the most Monroe, unique, historic visit, like this is a place that you come and go, and people's families have been coming in here for generations. You can see these maps over here. These are places people have come where they live to visit us. People come from all over the world.
If you could sum up what people should know to come to love of Baumgartner's.
History, community. I think those are probably the two most important things to us. Try to treat you like your family, like you're in our home, and try to make everybody feel welcome. And it's a place where, like, you know, we'll get millionaires sitting at the bar next to farmers, and they sit and chat, and everybody's the same.
That's the Wisconsin way.
Yeah.
And the Wisconsin way was built by people like this that settled upon things like this, created places like this. Cheers to you for keeping something like this going.
Thanks.
Chris, thanks for having us. This
Yeah.
is a really cool story.
Thanks for coming.
It wasn't as bad as I expected it was going to be. I'm not doing it again.
Next visit, we'll get you. It's an acquired taste. You just have to stick with it.
I just love telling the stories of Wisconsin, and sometimes I'm the butt of the joke. I'm always the butt of the joke.
So it makes a good host, I think.
What's the over-under and how many times is it going to take me to get this done?
You're only 4 inches from the ceiling here.
That wasn't a number. I'm glad I did that. I am apologetic to my wife for whatever's going to come out of that later. Oh, life is so much better.
I think you should just keep eating mints through the rest of the interview. Like 30 seconds, just unwrap another mint.
But I smelled it when I ate it that time. All right, are we good? Well, why don't you ask me if I'm good? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Well, this episode of Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet is a memorable one. Eating stinky Limburger cheese, officially off the bucket list. Thank God. All right, seriously, we really enjoyed spending time with Chris and soaking in the Swiss culture, the Wisconsin history, and sharing the Baumgartner story. It's pretty special. So special, in fact, that you should head to Monroe and check it out for yourself. Baumgartner's Cheese Store and Tavern. You can check them out online at baumgartnercheese.com and follow them on social media as well. Maybe you do your own Limburger challenge? Maybe not. Your call. Hey, if you enjoyed the episode, let us know. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Your thoughts are appreciated. If you're listening to the podcast, a 5-star review. Cheers. See you next time.
Talk to you later. Bye.